Warning: viewers' discretion is advised, as this may contain mature or triggering content. Title: Loving Who, Part 6. Amy, can we go now? Amy laughed softly. Just one more, please. Her eyes giggling with humor as Richard groaned. You know I stand in front of a camera so much I'd rather not do so on our dates as well. Amy just rolled her eyes as she posed, giving Richard bunny ears in the photo booth. These are for just you and I, not the public or anyone else. They printed out and she grabbed them, pointing at the one she thought was the cutest. See, look how handsome you look. Richard nuzzled into her neck. You are better looking than me. That dress makes you look way too cute. Another giggle left Amy as she pushed his head away. I told you, I'm not like those floozies you've dated before. I'm not a quick hit and quit. Richard wrapped his arms around her waist, pinning her against him. I don't plan to quit you anytime soon. In fact, I'd love to just hide you away from all the guys, mine alone. Soon it faded, the words seeming light but menacing all at once. Then something new crossed her dreams. It involved Vince. In all the previous dreams, he'd been there, but he was still just her friend. But this one was different. Amy and Vince walked hand in hand, sharing their ice creams. They had taken a venture with the flavors, allowing the vendor to select them for the two of them. The setting sun cast an orange-red glow across the skies, enjoying their date after celebrating a small win. They walked home under the dim streetlights. They had only been in their house for about 10 minutes before the chaos struck. Bang! A shot rang out. Blood splattered across the wall, the couch, and across Amy's face. Vince crumpled to the floor, withering in pain. The shot came from their bedroom, from behind. Amy shot up from her seat, rushing around the back of the couch to kneel down and help Vince. Her mind was racing as she reached into her pocket for her phone. The sound of a second shot filled the air. Pain seared through her shoulder, and she fell next to Vince. She couldn't speak. She didn't see him moving. All she saw was his blood everywhere. Tears and pain blurred her vision as a voice filled the air. I really didn't want to do this, but you left me no choice, my sparrow. I told you, we belong together. And you got a restraining order on me? Made me lose my job, on top of ruining my reputation. Richard kneeled down, grabbing Amy by the throat, pulling her up so she could stare at him. If I'm to be ruined, then I should at least have something to show for it. So, if you won't come with me willingly, I'll just take you. His eyes were wild, crazed, and his grip was so tight the edges of her vision blurred further. Let go. She barely managed to whimper. But she wasn't able to put up a fight. She had nothing in her to fight through the pain, nor could she breathe. Everything turned dark, and when she came to, she found herself chained to a wall. Soft cuffs circled her wrists. Pain still ached through her shoulder. Glad you survived, my sparrow. I was a bit worried. My unskillful hands would kill you trying to fix up that wound. Amy's eyes snapped open, wide and filled with terror. She screamed, fighting against the straps, even though she couldn't even move her head. Tears began to spill. Please, no, no. Had Richard kidnapped her? That was her first thought. It shouldn't have been. What was going on? And that dream? No, that had been a nightmare, right? She thrashed slightly in the bed, with more force. Amy! Amy, calm down! You're okay. Vince's voice filled the air before his face did, her blue eyes staring at him for a moment. Vince? She sobbed his name, and he crumpled, leaning down to brush her hair. It's okay. Now that you're awake, we can take these off, okay? She nodded, waiting, shaking. Why had she been strapped down in the first place? Vince fumbled with the restraints, trying to get them undone as fast as he could. The doctor came back into the room. Sir, I'm pretty sure I told you to leave those alone. We can't have her hurting herself in her unconscious state. However, he noticed Amy's eyes opened, wide and fearful. Ah, you're awake. Then I'll help as long as you promise not to thrash about like you were. His words confused her. I was doing what? The doctor groaned, walking over to undo the left side. You've been unconscious for a day now, Miss Pells. At first, everything was fine. However, your vitals flew off the charts, and you started thrashing about and ripped out the IV in your hand. You also were bashing your head against the bed. We've no idea what's going on, but we deemed strapping you down fully was a safe measure. Amy listened to the doctor's words. That had happened in a day? But the dreams felt so fresh, so real. She was shaking. We want to run some more tests on you before releasing you. Can you tell us what you were dreaming about that had you in such a state? Amy shook her head. I don't know, she mumbled. The doctor nodded. Okay, then. Can you tell me whose blood was all over you when you arrived? Do you remember? I'm asking this before the police officer comes in and asks. An officer? Why? The doctor glanced at Vince, who nodded. Well, you were found by your boss with a decent amount of blood on you, and as it happened, one of your co-workers has been gone ever since. I can't say if it's related or not, but I will hold them off just a bit longer until you gather yourself, all right? Amy nodded. Thank you, she mumbled. She was grateful to the guy, but what was she supposed to tell the cop? If Richard was missing, where did he go? The trembling of her body increased, making even the bed vibrate. Are you cold, Miss Pells? She nodded. Yes. Could I request a warmed blanket? The doctor nodded. Of course. I'll get that for you and be back in a few to collect some blood samples and check other things. Amy nodded, glad to sit up once they had gotten the binds off her. Vince watched with worry, waiting for the doctor to leave. He rushed over, hugging Amy. What happened to you? It was such a simple question, but it utterly broke her. She gripped onto Vince, sobbing into his shoulder. She could feel him brushing her head, trying to comfort her, but she felt no comfort. She was so scared. Why was this happening? What did it mean? Was Vince in danger? Was that a glimmer into the future? Unlike the dreams she had seen with Tyler and Richard? No. It made no sense. Her mind felt so muddled, she didn't want to see or talk to anyone. She just wanted to go home and cuddle in bed with Vince. She wanted him to never leave her side. She inhaled his scent even though it was shaky. I don't think I can keep working there, she muttered, and Vince stiffened. He pulled back, gripping her shoulders tightly. Did Tyler lay his hands on you? Amy shook her head. No. It wasn't Tyler. Richard. His grip tightened further and she flinched. Vince, that hurts. He released her, sitting back. What happened, Amy? His eyes were cold. She knew it wasn't aimed at her, or at least she hoped not. Amy was shaking. Was he mad at her? She couldn't blame him if that were the case. That made two different guys that had kissed her in such a short time. She broke down as he stared at her, telling Vince every single detail. She could see the anger boiling up in him. Why didn't you just text me or call? He shouted. She reached towards him, but he shook her hand off. I'm mad at you, Amy, but I'm furious at Richard. Amy trembled. Please, Vince, I really just didn't want to bother you. I didn't expect it to spiral like it did. I thought he was only going to taunt me, or maybe demand I go on a date with him behind your back. I didn't think he'd try shoving his tongue down my throat. Tears streaked down Amy's face as Vince flinched. He ran a hand through his hair. I told you, bother me. Don't let those fools have their way with you. I told you learning to defend yourself was fine, but guys tend to outclass women, especially if they don't work out on a regular basis, Amy. I told you all of this. Are you... Amy choked, her throat constricting on itself. Could she dare say the words? A knock at the door made her wipe at her tears, and Vince stood from the bed. Vince, please. He turned, leaving the room as the doctor entered. A small part of Amy's heart shattered. It was hard to breathe, but if he left her, she couldn't blame him. Not truly. It was her fault. The doctor paused, glancing between the two of them before proceeding with his job. I don't know what's happened, but give it time, he muttered as he took a few samples of blood. Amy gave him a bitter smile. That officer is here. I know him now is not a good time, but I don't think I can hold her off anymore. I hope you can understand. Amy just nodded, pulling her knees up to her chest, staring at the wall. She felt lost and broken. If Vince left, all she had was her job, and even then, she wasn't sure she could handle being there anymore, especially if Richard remained there. Vince was filled with rage. He was upset because he knew how much Amy wanted to be able to defend herself, how much she didn't want to bother him while they were at work, but a small part of him couldn't accept this. He thought the kiss with Tyler would have made her more on her toes, guarded. Or maybe... He paused, spinning on his heels, heading back for the room. He waited while the doctor took the samples. Vince? Amy was shaking, and he felt horrible. He crossed his arms. You don't think you can depend on me, do you? Or is it more along the lines of you think I'll fly off the handle? Because if that's the case, I'll do so if these kinds of things keep happening to you, Amy. You are mine. You are the only girl I have ever loved. You have my everything, so yes, I would go to jail to protect you. Amy flinched. He was right. She feared he'd dive off the deep end again. He groaned, moving back to the bed and sitting on the edge. If you had called me, I could have stopped him. I do know how to restrain myself. Tyler is proof of that. Amy was still shaking, and he reached for her cheek. Amy, stop trying to face them on your own. Should we get married? I mean, I know this isn't the best way to propose, but I'm serious. You have all of me. So, let's get married. I know we were trying to save up for something big, but after all of this... Amy stared at him. So you aren't planning to leave me? Vince paled. No, never. I'm sorry for storming out of the room a few minutes ago. I was just... You can bother me at work, Amy. I don't care. I will always put you first. She leaned into his touch. I know, but you love your job, and everyone loves you as well. I couldn't. You can. So, going to leave me hanging? Amy smiled softly. If you are willing to marry me, I'd love to make you mine. Vince smiled. I'm the luckiest guy. There was a knock at the door, and a woman officer stood at the entrance. First, congrats. Secondly, I am sorry to bother you. I need to ask you some questions. Amy nodded, and Vince gripped her hand. Can I stay? The officer nodded. Something tells me she needs you. As long as she's comfortable answering the questions with you in the room, I won't ask you to leave. Yes, I don't think I can talk about this all without him being by my side. The officer nodded before moving to take a seat and pulling out a tape recorder. All right, Amy Pells. Why were you covered in blood that didn't belong to you when you got to the hospital? Amy stilled. She wasn't expecting the officer to be so direct and just blast her with the main question. Whose blood was on her? She glanced at Vince, who nodded. I'm here for you. Amy took in a deep breath and began explaining everything that happened. The woman was clearly shocked as Amy finished telling her what she could remember about what happened between her and Richard. So, is this bruise from his hand on you? Amy glanced down. There was in fact a bruise in a hand shape on her arm. I didn't even notice this. The officer nodded. Give me a moment. I'm going to take a few photos. Amy glanced at Vince, his eyes glaring at the handprint. If they don't lock him up, he'll have me to deal with. Sir, I know you are angry, but please refrain from making such threats in my presence. I won't be able to leave it alone, as much as I may wish to. Vince nodded. Sorry, officer. She gave them both a soft smile before stopping the recording. Off the record, I'd be hunting his ass down if he did that to my husband. I can't really fault you for it, but on the record, I have to insist you don't make such threats. Amy sighed. So, the doctor told me someone hadn't been coming to work. Is it Richard? The woman nodded. Yes, from your statement, I can only assume he is hiding like a coward, hoping his tongue will heal in a decent time. I will have my guys search all the nearby hospitals for anyone that got their tongue stitched up. Shouldn't be too hard. Also, you go, girl. Most girls are too scared to even attempt fighting back. I hope you did damage to that bastard's tongue, she said with a small wink before turning to collect her things and heading out. To be continued! Are you still here? I certainly hope so, and I also hope you're still enjoying this. Be sure to like and comment, share your thoughts, strike up conversation. I'd love to hear something from you guys. And I do apologize for not staying on track like I had hoped. Things just keep on popping up, whether it be, me just not having time to record, or me getting sick when I do have time to record and then I can't talk. It's wonderful. Gotta love how everything decides to work against you, I guess. Either way, as I said, I do hope you guys are still enjoying this. Please comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye!